What's up, peeps? It's me. And I had to come to you with this breaking news. I had to bring you this story that I just found out about. And I haven't heard anything about it. I hadn't seen anything about it in mainstream media, so at least not too much about it anyway. So I'm gonna bring it to y'all because it's breaking news for me. And if it's breaking news for me, then 9 times out of 10 it's breaking news for y'all. But anyway, seems there is a old Larry King clip from back when in 1993 from when CNN was doing the Larry King show. And Larry King has a couple of guests, a few guests on his show, and he has and he's taking calls. And this woman calls in, and she gets to talking about this problem, this situation that her daughter has had with this prominent senator, and how her daughter, was supposed to handle this and all of that. But anyway, so it supposedly this woman was the mother of Tara Reid's. Tara Reid's is the young woman that has said that has come forward and said that she was sexually alleges that she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden. So let me get on into reading this because this is going to be short and sweet. So let me get on into reading this. This was just published 16 hours ago. The last update was 8 hours ago. So this was just published on the 25th, April 25th. And again, it's from Fox News and it's from Brian Flood. CNN finally covers Larry King clip in which Biden accuses mother purportedly alludes to daughter's sexual assault. How much longer am I supposed to wait? I'm talking to the computer, y'all. It's tripping again. Yeah, I need a new computer. I definitely need me a new computer. But this is just going to be so interesting because I got another little a bit of breaking news to go along with this. So how about I just refresh this page? How about I just do that? And take me a little sip of this sip that I'm sipping on and wait for this page to reload. And I'm going to let y'all hear the clip after I read a little bit of this. Okay, it's coming up. Mother of Biden accuser reportedly phoned into Larry King's show to complain about prominent senator. Newly resurfaced video from decades ago lends support to allegations against Joe Biden. Insight from journalist Rich McHugh. After criticism from media critics and the Republican National Committee, the liberal network CNN finally broke its silence on its own footage purportedly showing the mother of Tara Reid, who accused former Vice President Joe Biden of sexual assault, alluding to the alleged incident. Hold on, let me turn this off because we're not ready. We don't hear this. We ain't interested in that. At 1:28 p.m. ET on Saturday, the network's website published an article on the issue. Prior to that, the story was missing from the network's coverage, including its reliable sources newsletter from CNN. Liberal anchor Brian Stetler, in what some critics are calling journalistic misconduct. Yet and still, Stetler hasn't tweeted about the video, even though he tweeted posts about Elmo and Big Bird. He did. You can see, and it'll be in this article. You can see this Brian Stetler dude talking about going outside and Big Bird and Elmo and all of this. The broadcast programming spent more time on those characters as well, with interviews during CNN newsroom. And here it is. Brian Stetler. Elmo sees lots of people wearing masks outside, but it's not Halloween. So why are people wearing costumes? And then it's got hashtag CNN Sesame Street. The Intercept reported earlier that Reed said her late mother once called into CNN Larry King's Live to discuss her daughter's experience on Capitol Hill, where the alleged encounter with Biden took place. Reed didn't recall other information such as the date or even year, and the Intercept managed to dig up a transcript of the call, but not the video. So the Intercept could get the transcript, but they couldn't get the video clip. Tucked away among hundreds of thousands of hours of old archived footage was the long-forgotten clip that came to light Friday. But rather than CNN's team of investigative reporters, it was the Media Research Center's Newsbusters, a conservative group that seeks to expose liberal bias, that exhumed the footage from its own vault. It's truly despicable that this footage existed and yet CNN failed to do its own due diligence within its own archives, Newsbuster managing editor Curtis Huck told Fox News. CNN didn't mention the tape's newfound attention during its Friday night primetime lineup. CNN's reliable sources newsletter didn't think it was worth including either. So this was even after the clip resurfaced, and even after they had the transcript, CNN still wouldn't report on it, still wouldn't say anything about it, still didn't put it in their newsletter, no nothing. This is what Christopher Huck tweeted. Breaking. Here is the video from August 11, 1993's Larry King Live, described by The Intercept and Tara Reid as allegedly featuring her mother calling in and alluding to Reid's sexual assault claims against Joe Biden. Blog here by A. Scott at Scott VW, newsbusters.org, blogs, whatever. And here's the clip. So let's see if it'll load and play for us like it's supposed to. Because you know how this thing gets sometimes.
We're back. A couple more phone calls on this very important topic. Our guests are former United States Senator Howard Baker, Richard Allen, former National Security Advisor, and Lois Romano of the Washington Post. San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Well, yeah, but these are the people who do come to the Lois Romanos, right? The staff worker who says, I want to let you know about what's going on, either with my boss or the guy down the hall.
And a lot of these people have a sense of obligation. They feel that this public official should be accountable if it's something wrong.
They're whistleblowers to the press.
Exactly.
So that was the clip from the Larry King show. The woman you heard talking is being reported as allegedly being Tara Reid's mother, and Tara is the daughter that she's talking about that's having this problem with this prominent senator, and she's went and talked to these people, and nobody's taking her, nobody's listening to what she has to say, and because of her respect for him, I don't think it was respect as much as it was fear, but anyway, because of her respect for him, she wouldn't go to the press. So let's finish reading. CNN has largely ignored Reid's claims, drawing criticism from media watchdogs that often contrast it to how the liberal network handled allegations against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, with hundreds of stories and countless segments. CNN finally published its first story on Reid's claim on April 17th, weeks after they were made, when correspondent M.J. Lee framed the story as Democratic leaders and allies of Biden being asked to respond to an allegation against the 2020 Democratic frontrunner. According to one analysis, CNN waited 24 days to cover the allegations. By contrast, the outlet published nearly 700 articles about allegations against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh in the 19 days from when the allegations became public to his confirmation in 2018. So not one story did they put. Well, they finally published one story about Tara Reade's allegations against Joe Biden. And that story was biased compared to the nearly 700 articles that they published and they put out surrounding the allegations against Supreme Court Brett Kavanaugh. Perhaps they thought doing the bare minimum with help from the horribly biased MJ Lee would have done the trick and made the concerns about their online silence go away, Huck said. Now they've poured gasoline on the fire. Once again, we see a case of how the worst kind of media bias is the bias that you don't see, or bias by omission. The resurfaced CNN clip from 1993 appeared to show Reade's mother alluding to problems her daughter faced while working as a staffer for the then Delaware senator. Reade later told Fox News it was indeed the voice of her mother on the clip. Biden's presidential campaign has adamantly denied Reade's allegations, but the video could be cited as evidence supporting Reade's allegation, even though her late mother in the clip does not specifically refer to a sexual assault claim. CNN did not immediately respond to a series of questions, including whether the network knew the footage existed. Larry King may have had the biggest scoop of his CNN career this evening, and it's an open question whether his former employer will say a word about it, New York Post reporter John Levine tweeted. Huck credited the Interceptor's report and the MCR's truly exemplary TV news archive for being able to locate the clip so quickly. I'm not finished. Hold on. While unsurprising given how fundamentally unserious of a network CNN has become, it's gratifying for the MCR but shameful for CNN that they hadn't unearthed this long ago, Huck said. DePaul University professor and media critic Jeffrey McCall told Fox News that the Interceptor reporter Ryan Grimm used to work for the Huffington Post, so he is presumably not some sort of Republican or conservative operative pushing a smear campaign on Biden. But he blasted CNN for its clear bias. That CNN couldn't pull this clip out of their own archives, even after Reade mentioned it in a recent interview, seems to demonstrate that CNN just lacks hustle to investigate this story or just wants to keep the story buried, McCall said. Either way, this comes off as journalistic misconduct. Biden has made multiple appearances on CNN since Reade came forward, but anchors Anderson Cooper, Brooke Baldwin, and Jake Tapper have all ignored Reade's doing separate interviews. So they've all ignored her allegations during these interviews with Biden. McCall said that CNN is not alone, as many other mainstream media outlets have been hesitant to pursue Reade's allegations against Biden. For nearly 3 weeks, the mainstream media largely avoided Reade's allegations. The tides began to shift following Rich McHugh's report in Business Insider the Friday before Easter that Reade had filed a criminal complaint against Biden. Biden is presumed to be the Democratic nominee for president, and that makes this matter newsworthy enough to be investigated, with, of course, all precautions for fairness and accuracy, McCall said. The discovery of this video clip does provide some extra evidence in the matter and should be reported with proper context and scrutiny, but it shouldn't be summarily dismissed as irrelevant, particularly in this era. And of course, you know, he talking about the era of Me Too and all of this. But yeah. Yes. They have found this clip, and you heard it, but I'm going to play it for you again.
back. A couple more phone calls on this very important topic. Our guests are former United States Senator Howard Baker, Richard Allen, former National Security Advisor, and Lois Romano of the Washington Post. San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Well, yeah, but these are the people who do come to the Lois Romanos, right? The staff worker who says, I want to let you know about what's going on, either with my boss or the guy down the hall.
And a lot of these people have a sense of obligation. They feel that this public official should be accountable if it's something wrong.
And whistleblowers to the press.
Exactly.
And I want y'all to notice something too when you watch the clip.
We're back. A couple more phone calls on this very important topic. Our guests are former United States Senator Howard.
I want you to notice the man. You'll see Larry King, and then they'll do a split screen, and notice the guy with the Knoxville over his name. Notice, and I think that's James Baker. I'm not sure, but notice him as this woman keeps talking, and it's almost like he knows what she's talking about. It's almost like he knows exactly what and who she's talking about. The man with the Knoxville over his name. When you watch the clip, just pay attention to him as this woman starts talking about her daughter and her daughter's problem with this prominent senator and all of that. This guy actually looks like it's just something in his eyes and the way he starts looking that made me feel like he knew exactly what this woman was referring to. But that's the clip. I wanted you to hear it. CNN, we all know CNN is the worst of them. We know that CNN is the worst of them. All of them are bad. All of the major news outlets, especially the ones that are owned by these six corporations. We all know they're bad. ABC, MSNBC, Fox has its moments, CNN, all of them. The New York Times, the New York Post, the Washington Post, all of them, Huffington Post, all of them are bad. But CNN is the biggest bunch of clowns that you ever want to meet. But they're going to be in some hot water now because folks are going to want to know why they're not saying anything. They're still not reporting on it. They did they published a little article on it on their website, but they're still not talking about it, just as they said in Friday when they had this whole primetime lineup. Nobody said anything. Nobody reported on it. They have chosen to ignore investigating or reporting anything about this young woman's allegations or whatever the case may be. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this comes out, what other information comes forward. It's going to be real interesting to see how the Democrats and Joe Biden respond to this, to see how much coverage it gets, because it comes at a real tricky time. You understand what I'm saying? He's already gone. He's already experiencing all of this, and I do believe that he's in the first, maybe even the second stages of dementia, unless he's putting on a real good show. But it's just funny that this came out at this time, especially when people are talking about his decline, his mental decline. They're talking about who he's gonna name to run as his vice president and all of that. With all this stuff that's going on with the corona and with Trump. It really came out at a funny time. But it's going to be interesting to see how far this goes. It's going to be interesting to see who else pushes it. But it's good that there are other people out there that are doing the journalistic work that needs to be done. They're doing the investigative reporting. You understand what I'm saying? They're going out there to find the truth, and then they're reporting the truth. They're putting it out here for the public to see. Because I think more and more people are realizing that mainstream media just cannot be trusted. It just cannot be trusted. But this leads into the next little piece of information that I have for y'all. So hold on, let me pull this one up. so we can read just a little bit of this one. We're not going to read a whole lot, but we're going to read a little bit of this one. Because now remember, AT&T is one of the corporations, one of the 6 corporations that own all the media, right? And AT&T actually owns CNN, okay? And I don't have the chart in front of me to break down which corporation owns what, but I know AT&T owns CNN. Well, lo and behold, this was reported on April 24th, 2020, a couple of days ago. AT&T CEO Randall Stevenson is stepping down. John Stankey to serve as new CEO. So all of a sudden, we got CNN about to be embroiled in some mess, because I just got a feeling that this is just going to snowball. It's going to turn into something. So all of a sudden, we got CNN involved in this mess with Joe Biden and alleged sexual assault and all of this. And we all of a sudden have the owner of CNN, AT&T, the CEO, Randall Stevenson, stepping down. Let's read a little bit of this. AT&T CEO Randall Stevenson has announced that he'll be stepping down from his position, with current AT&T president and COO, which is Chief Operating Officer, John Stankey, set to replace him as the new CEO on July 1st via CNBC. So they got this information from CNBC. Stevenson will continue to serve as the executive chairman of AT&T's board until January 2020. Stevenson has served as AT&T's CEO since May 2007, a time period that saw the company massively expand in both existing and new markets, with an attempted but failed purchase of T-Mobile in 2011, an acquisition of Leap Wireless in 2013, a purchase of DirecTV in 2014, and the landmark $85 billion Time Warner deal that closed back in 2018 after years of regulatory fighting and objections from the Justice Department. Stankey became the heir apparent in September when AT&T named him the president and COO of the company. Stankey continued to oversee its Warner Media division as CEO, but started looking for a successor late last year. AT&T named former Hulu chief Jason Kilar as the new CEO of Warner Media in April, giving Stankey the space to move forward at AT&T without having to worry about overseeing the day-to-day operations of the company's growing and controversial division. So this article, of course, will be linked in the description box, and you can go back and finish reading it if you want to. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of background and let you know that Randall Stevenson, CEO of AT&T, is stepping down. He's resigning. As of July 1st, somebody else will take the helm. This Stankey guy will take the helm. So I'm wondering if, these two have anything to do with each other. Because remember, we've already talked about, all of these CEOs and all of these big execs and everything that stepped down, that have been stepping down ever since January of this year. It was 219 of them just in January alone. We done had Bill Gates step down from Microsoft. We done had Bob Iger step down from Disney. Some of the biggest media folk, Hulu, Netflix. Everybody has had somebody in a upper executive position resign or step down in 2020, and there are more to come. There are more to come for the rest of this year. So, I'm just wondering if this whole thing with Biden and CNN and this clip resurfacing all of a sudden and everything, I'm wondering if any of that has anything to do with this Stevenson guy stepping down. I'm wondering if, all the hits that CNN has taken over the last few years, I'm wondering, with all of their fake news and all of their bias and all of their, far left ideologies and all that. I'm wondering if all of that has anything to do with this man all of a sudden deciding he was going to step down. You know, it's just interesting. It's just a very, very interesting time, and it's some interesting things going on. You know what I'm saying? And after a while, you know, mathematically, things don't work to be a coincidence. After a while, coincidence just can't explain away some things. You know, I'm wondering how much of a coincidence it is that all of this came out about Joe Biden now. But that's what I wanted to bring y'all. I wanted to bring y'all this information about Joe, and I wanted to bring y'all this information about AT&T, the CEO of AT&T, who is the parent company of CNN. AT&T owns CNN. Him resigning and stepping down. And, you know, there was another video that I had planned to upload before this one. And then I got a hold to this information. So, you know, I had to go do some researching. And if you look it up, if you look up this clip about on the Larry King show about Joe Biden and Tara Reid, it should come up. The search should bring up a few different sources. I just picked the first one and read through it, and it corresponded with some of the things that I had heard. So I was like, okay, then we're going to go with this one. But there are several articles out there on that you can Google and find about this situation. But it's going, like I said, it's going to be real, real interesting to see how this pans out, especially right now with, like I said, the cognitive decline that he's obviously having. Because if he, like I said, if he putting on a show, he putting on a damn good show. If he putting on a show, he done convinced himself. If Joe Biden is putting on a show, he's putting on such a good show, he's acting so well that he has convinced himself. But I've read comments where people say that they are, you know, healthcare workers, or they are aides, or whatever, and they have patients, or they have family members or grandparents or parents or whatever that are experiencing this dementia and all of that. And the way he's acting is textbook symptoms, textbook first and second stages of dementia. So like I said, if he playing, and there are some people that have thrown it out there that maybe he just putting on this show because, you know, the Democrats want to come, you know, they call themselves maybe having some kind of secret weapon or something, and they're going to, you know, at the 11.5 hour, they're going to present this one or present that one to take his place, or whatever the case may be. So there are a lot of people that have suggested that maybe this is an act. But like I said, if this is an act, then he acted so well, he's convinced his damn self. You know, but you can look at his eyes, and there are points when he's supposed to be talking. You can look at his eyes and see that he just cannot focus. He just cannot get it together. He just does not know what the hell is going on. But so it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. It's going to be real interesting to see where this goes. It's going to be interesting to see if the Democrats will leave him out there, or if, you know, they're going to make some kind of announcement soon about, you know, him running, or about who his running mate is. Or it's just going to be interesting to see how this whole thing pans out. But I just wanted to bring y'all this and let y'all know what was going on, and see how it maybe fits into everything else that's going on. Everything else that's going on. Because there's a whole lot going on. It's a whole lot going on that we know about, and it's a whole lot going on that we don't know about. You know, we may presume some things, we may assume some things, we may have speculation about some things, but there's a lot going on that we don't know about. You understand what I'm saying? But the more we research, the more we pay attention, the more we look for the truth in unusual places, because that's where the truth is now. The truth is not where it used to be. The truth used to reside with mainstream media. You used to could depend on the folks in the news and mainstream media to come out and at least tell you most of the truth. And a lot of times, if they weren't telling you the truth, it was because their sources weren't telling them the truth or whatever. But now you can't find the truth in the places that you used to look. Now you got to think outside of the box. And you got to go outside of the box. You got to go outside of what's normal and what's usual to find the truth now. You got to find the truth in some very unusual places. But as these truths are uncovered, you know, the folks in the new black media and these folks, the folks in the new media period, because that's what I've been hearing them. Everybody's calling these, you know, all the citizen journalists and all these people with all these different YouTube channels and all of that. They're calling them the new media. You know, so we know we got the new black media, but then there's just this whole move of folks that's just not paying attention to mainstream media anymore, and they're looking at alternative media. So as more of that comes out and as more of this information comes forward, when we find it, we're going to bring it to you. We're going to bring it to you because knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. We got to know how to use that power once we get that knowledge, but knowledge is power. So that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to bring y'all this information. Please like this video, share this video. Tell me how you feel down in the comments. So to subscribe to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel because they have already taken down the video that we did. Y'all remember this song, Blow the Whistle? And in the video, the respiratory therapist, the man that said he'd been a respiratory therapist for 20 years, was talking, and he was talking about how we don't really need ventilators, and he was talking about how he felt like all of this stuff was fake and all of this stuff, and the numbers were being exaggerated, and how everybody that was coming in was being listed as COVID patients under investigation and all that. Remember that dude? Well, they took that video down. I didn't get a strike for the channel, but they took that video down. Y'all remember this song, Blow the Whistle? The video that we had entitled, y'all remember this song, Blow the Whistle? They took it down. YouTube took it down. So YouTube is definitely censoring. YouTube, they took it down because they said it didn't follow the community guidelines. It didn't follow their guidelines. So, of course, telling the truth doesn't follow the guidelines. You know, the owner or the CEO of YouTube, that Susan Wojcinski or whatever her name is, you know, she came out and said that, you know, anybody that was problematic or anybody that was saying anything, you know, about the COVID-19 that was problematic or whatever, that, you know, those videos were going to be censored and taken down. So that's what they're doing. But the information got out there, and I'm sure there are other people that still have that video up. You understand what I'm saying? But the information got out there. And hopefully, well, I still have the video. And hopefully the person that originally posted it still has it. And, you know, when it's necessary, we'll figure out how to get it back up there. But so yeah, this information is vital. This information is very important. And the powers that be, the Democrats, the globalist elites, these folks pushing these agendas and all that, they don't want this information out there. You know, so there very possibly may be a shadow ban on the channel. If it is, that's fine. So just make sure that you're still subscribed. If you're subscribed, hit the bell notification so you can be notified when we upload. Go to the link, look this stuff up, and, you know, let's all stay tuned to see how this thing is going to turn out. And Foundation of Black Americans, let's stay codified. If you're not on code, get on code. Get on code. You understand what I'm saying? Get your mouth right. That's the first thing. Get your mind right and get your mouth right. Stop talking all this foolishness. You got to stop thinking this foolishness. And the only way you can do that is you got to break the programming. How do you break the programming? You got to break yourself from TV. You got to break yourself from mainstream media. You got to break yourself from listening to these news broadcasts and all of that. You got to break yourself from some of that because it's all about programming. And as long as you keep on listening to this mess, you will continue to be programmed. So break yourself from it. Get your mind right, and then get your mouth right. Start talking stuff that makes sense. Some of the things that you say, just if you would stop for a minute and think for yourself, you would realize that some of the stuff you're saying just don't make sense. But we'll get more into that in another video. But that's all I got for tonight. But you know, y'all pay attention. Get in this description box and get to paying attention to these links and these articles and these videos, and stay on code. Everybody stay safe. Everybody stay aware and stay calm, and y'all have a good night.